didn't know at the time. But when I did finally decide to leave the
Once
US,
again, on Guide
I
for
was
Them, please, our
absolutely
sister here,
seeking
how
reconnection
she
with
did it,
myself
relocating from
in an
US to
environment
South Africa,
where
Cape
I just
Town,
felt safe.
and it became
And when I
success.
made that
Don't go
decision,
away. The
within
video
about
is
6
40
months, it was
minutes,
also during
and
the
you get
time
your
where the
share
world
there.
had stopped,
The program is set
2020,
of belief
and
and
people
approach
didn't
she
know what
took,
life was going to look
the
like
type of
after that
grassroots
experience. And so I felt
and
like, why not now?
community-based programs,
If I don't do it now, when will I
shifts
have the
in
opportunity
human
to do it?
services
My girls
and
were home
delivery,
from school,
and
work, I had been laid
movement for
off,
social change.
and, I had
The truth
invested in
hurts.
some tools to be
Just
able
know
to
that
live abroad or
you
to do
can't
whatever I needed to
change
do.
reality without
And I
money.
decided to
Brothers and
explore. I
sisters,
decided to tap
your
into the
support
desires
is
that I
our
had, the
driving
values
force
that I had
for
pushed
more
away,
updates and guide
to
for you.
do all of the right
Please
things, check all
comment,
of the right
share,
boxes. And
and
I
like it.
was
Stay tuned
running
for the
from
video. Thank
the
you.
chaos that I had created. But really, I was subconsciously seeking out a better connection with the creator and also myself. And I got way more than I ever bargained for in making that decision. So my monthly expenses here in Cape Town, South Africa are moderately low, depending on who you're comparing it to. Comparing it to the US, I spend about 40% less than I would spend for a comparable lifestyle in the US. Rents have gone up in Cape Town 30% since last year. So my most expensive expense is housing, which my rent is 32,000 Rand for a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home in the upper suburbs, northern suburbs of Cape Town, South Africa. The next expense for food, I budget about 6,000 Rand per month. Most of my groceries I deliver. So half of them come from a local grocery store. The other half come from a local farmers co-op where I'm able to receive fresh vegetables and fruits that are in season every 5 to 7 days. Depending on the season and my travel schedule. So about 6,000 Rand per month for food. Transportation, I budget about 6,000 Rand per month as well. Most of my travel is with, coming to our office here in the VA waterfront, or heading out with friends at night. I walk a lot in my neighborhood to nearby restaurants and even my gym. So my travel expenses are pretty low. However, I always bank 6,000 Rand per month. For childcare, my daughter my youngest daughter is homeschooled. My oldest daughter is in boarding school. So collectively for education for them, it is about 20,000 Rand per month. And then with actually maybe about 23,000 Rand because my youngest is also enrolled in some performing arts programs that are about 3,000 Rand per month, where she every day is doing gymnastics, ballet, piano, drama, or vocal lessons Monday through Friday. So for education and, extracurricular, that's about 23,000 Rand per month. For a house support team, full-time house helper, we have a live-in house helper, house manager who does everything from grocery planning to meal prep, as well as cleaning and linen and laundry. Her fees are about 6,000 Rand per month. She's live-in, so I cover her expenses as well as her food, her board, and budget for kind of 2 to 3 times her salary for the month of December. So for my South Africans and even abroad, you also know like December is a bigger expense because of the bonuses that you're paying out, especially if you have a team. The next expense, entertainment. So I budget about 10,000 Rand per month for entertainment and self-care. So that's That's facials, that's nails, hair, massages, spa, going to things like that, about 10,000 rand, as well as going out for dinners and things with friends. And then healthcare. So I currently still have my US healthcare, but for most things, I pay out of pocket because I would need to be reimbursed anyway. It's an international plan, but everything is so more affordable, so much more affordable, that the time and energy of reimbursement just isn't really necessary. I do that at the end, typically at the end of the year. So I don't have a lot of health issues. So I don't spend a lot on healthcare, but I will kind of put in my fitness in there because that is preventative care. And that's anywhere from about 4,000 to 5,000 rand per month at a gym and working with a fitness trainer. And I think that's about it. Oh no, utilities. So everything from electricity to house management with the pool and Wi-Fi. That's about another 3,000 to 3 to 5,000 rand per month. Ooh, the strawberries are on sale. 7 rand off. It doesn't say how much they are. 62.99. Woolies is quite expensive, but they have some of the best produce. So chicken wings. My daughter loves wings and legs. We'll do, this is for 220 rand, $12. And lamb, this isn't something we eat a lot of. Lamb chops is something we eat a lot of in the States, but these are lamb chops, bulk. This is also 239 rand, which is $13. This one is $20 rand, $19.99, $1. Some lettuce, 26 rand. Actually, I'm gonna get this iceberg. 22 rands, like $1.15. And then a couple of cucumbers. These are 20 rand, so also $1 each. So we just finished our shopping at Woolworths. For this full bag, we got a lot of produce, fresh produce. So you can see the receipt here. Everything came up to about 1,057 rand. That's a little over $60. Or actually not even. It's almost $60, about $57.75. This would easily cost about 120 bucks in a similar grocery store, maybe like a Whole Foods is more of the style of shopping that you're getting when you go to Woolies. So I usually order my groceries, but if I'm out and I'm close to a Woolies and I need some produce, I always pick Woolies for produce. Every day is very different, but I'd say typical day, waking up pretty slowly, around 7 a.m. And getting ready for the day. So we typically check emails and WhatsApps in the morning. I'm not great yet with like putting my phone away early in the morning, but what I love about being in Cape Town, I walk through the neighborhood. So I live really close to the ocean in the northern suburb of Cape Town, and walks for about 30 minutes is really nice. I can even walk to a nearby coffee shop and come back home, have breakfast with my daughter before her homeschool lesson. She does some homeschooling from about 9 a.m. to 12. We now have a team of people that support her with that. And so I'm on my laptop, either working from the living room or working from my room or coming into the office. It just depends on how my week looks. I'm also finding time to research and create content, as well as emails to our email community. So we have a day where we're specifically doing that. I connect with my team abroad. So I have a teammate in Nigeria and a teammate in Tanzania, Lagos, and Dar es Salaam. We collectively work on the Ashley in Africa platform, the media brand, as well as Africa Investors Academy. And my days are very different. Some days I work 7, 8, 10 hours. Some days I work 2 hours. It just really, really depends. But I have been intentional about making sure that my Mondays are slow. I remember waking up in the mornings on Monday back at my old life, being really stressed about what Monday could look like. And I made a decision and a choice that my Mondays were going to be for me and I would do whatever I want. So some Mondays I do work and I will have a really intense work day. But other Mondays, like we got to capture, I am moving slowly throughout my day, getting manicures, getting my hair done, having lunch by myself at a restaurant or going to the movies. Just really depends on what I'm feeling. But I have that location kind of time freedom where I'm able to determine what that looks like throughout the day. Almost 6 years ago now, 2019, I was working at a desk probably this size in an office for a tech startup with a bunch of guys. There probably was no windows in that little office space. We were a lean tech startup, but everybody in there was making 6 figures or more. The founders were at 7. I couldn't imagine what that's like now, having experienced the level of location freedom that I built with the business, being able to work from anywhere, whether it's a coffee shop, a beach, a hotel, my kitchen table, my daughter's gymnastics class. Being able to pop open my laptop when I need it, sometimes not even my laptop, all I need is my phone, to be able to talk to clients from anywhere, all over the world, whether it's about relocating, purchasing real estate, setting up their banking in a foreign country. These are some of the things that I get to do based on a time schedule that I create. Mondays are my light days. I typically don't do a lot of work on Mondays, but when we have work, we pop it open. And when we don't, we figure out how to be more creative with the time that we have to help more people along the way. People ask me if Penelope is happier, how have my children adjusted? Penelope was 2 when we migrated from the US to East Africa. So this is really all she knows. Being able to walk outside, being able to play outside, not being fearful. She's never done a active shooter drill. That's just not her experience, her reality. She's learning multiple languages. So being around people that speak multiple languages is very common for her. And she gets to be in her fullness. She gets to take up space. I don't have to talk to her about, going smaller, being smaller. She loves to sing, so she'll sing anywhere, even when we're on a plane and everybody is quiet. She'll sing. But we don't have the experience of where maybe kids are seen as disturbances or nuisances in my home country. People value children, so they allow her to be a child. I've been in meetings with her, with ministers, where she's talking and she's playing and they're happy with that. So she's just a lot more free in her environment to be herself and to not have to live and have the conversations of what she can't do because of her skin color or her racial identity. She's just Penelope. the timing was just divine for me at the time. With the chaos that was happening during the time of 2020, the political tension, the the uncertainty of what the pandemic gave to everyone. Everyone was really unclear. There was a stillness that I was able to sit in, and I was able to really evaluate my life. And I learned in those moments that I was not living a life aligned with my values. I couldn't say I value family, but I'm spending, 5 hours a week with my family. I couldn't say that I valued my health, but I'm eating tons of food from Costco every day. I couldn't say that I valued adventure and I'm heading to a resort maybe once a year. I really needed to check in with those values and realign if I was living that life. And so that was really the decision. These outside factors were really just noise. If I look at it now, hindsight, it was my inner self being exhausted from what I had decided to do for 20, 30 years up until that point, and what I had just accepted for my life. And it was really that divine timing in that moment where I realized, no, you're settling for this, and whatever you're not changing, you're choosing. And so that's when I decided to make a change. No place is perfect, but there's so many things. I think it's knowing that I was able to manifest this experience, not just in the physical, but in the spiritual way of finding that sense of ease within myself, reconnecting with myself, that desire, and being able to do that here and look back and say like, wow, 10 years ago, this was really just a vision. I had no idea how it was going to come to pass. That's really like the subconscious thing that makes it so amazing. But just every day being in the present. I mean, this is such a beautiful city. It is breathtaking waking up every morning to see the beauty of such a place. It's amazing to know that I'm in Africa and I'm raising my family in environments where they are seen everywhere. They are able to be their full self. Are there differences and opportunities for growth? Absolutely. No place is perfect. It's just a beautiful place to have young children. There's so many things. I can't just pick one. The more you think you know, the less you know. So I'm a constant, like forever learner, forever student, always studying. And there's so much history in this country that you may not be able to read in a book. I love reading South African written novels and poetry because you get to hear a lot about the history in ways that aren't necessarily told or haven't been told in the mainstream media, or just even sitting in community with people and at functions, at brides, and learning about the different cultural groups and the ethnic groups and the history and their experience. It's the more you think you know, like the man who knows everything knows nothing. And so that's something I've learned about myself. It's just, what you thought you knew, you just didn't. And so being a constant learner, it's definitely changed me and made me appreciate that skill set and my adaptability and agency to be open and understanding. As a mother, it's also made me so much more proud of being a mother and enjoying motherhood. This experience of moving abroad really gave me that, because my experience in the US is motherhood is a liability. In the workplace, it's, you don't know if you're I was laid off after having my daughter, and they couldn't necessarily prove a reason. So I got an amazing settlement, but it still weighs on you as you move in through corporate. It weighed on me. And so I needed to still keep my professional accolades up. I needed to keep my public image up, and motherhood wasn't something I wanted in the forefront. Now I value motherhood. I value being a mother. I enjoy being a mother. I love spending time with my children. I love teaching them things. I love, talking to them and being emotionally safe spaces for them, and showing them how to also have emotional safe spaces in their friendships and their relationships. So the entire experience of living in Africa and traveling many countries has taught me the value of family and motherhood and the importance of it. Living in South Africa is more affordable in so many ways than living in the United States. Cost of living wise, it's absolutely going to cost 30 to 60% less than living in the US. But what is priceless is the peace, the safety that I feel in my nervous system, and the overall quality of life, having access to foods that I know are less processed, created, farmed, and manufactured here in South Africa. The ability to be in a community that still fosters family and community building is also priceless. So from a financial perspective, it's absolutely more affordable than living in the US. And from a spiritual, mental, and physical place, it is 1,000% better for me and my family. The way that I earn my income now, I am a full-time entrepreneur. I run a few businesses here in South Africa as well as in Tanzania, and I am 100% an entrepreneur. So when I was living in the US, I was about 50% an entrepreneur. I was entrepreneurial when I was working for companies, and then I would dip out if I was laid off or decided I wanted to spend more time in my side hustle, or do the side hustle for a year and then go back into corporate. So I was a 50% entrepreneur kind of when I felt like I needed the extra money running in equal spaces. Now I am full 100% entrepreneur, making money through a location independent business. So I'm invested in tourism in Tanzania. So we have annual events where we bring people into the country biannually in Tanzania. And then I have a media brand, Ashley in Africa, as well as a community of entrepreneurs and investors called the Africa Investors Academy. And then I'm also co-founder of Skyline Attorney Realtors, which is a firm of attorney real estate agents helping international investors efficiently through tax planning, estate planning, so that their investments here in South Africa work for them and the legacy that they're building for their families.
So my name is Yolanda Lebisi Cousins, and I am a property legal expert. I am in partnership with Ashley Cleveland, my partner, at Skyline Attorney Realtors. And what we simply do at Skyline Attorney Realtors is provide efficiencies for international clients looking to invest in real estate or business in South Africa. We provide these efficiencies in a form of helping them buy property with tax and estate planning integration, helping them set up their businesses into which their properties get to be transferred, and basically helping them invest so they can maximize their returns and also secure their real estate investments.
Hi, I am Mpoma Duadua. I am an attorney realtor at Skyline Attorney Realtors. I have met Ashley obviously through Skyline Attorney Realtors as a partner with Yolanda Lebisi Cousins. So obviously the alignment is there. So knowing Yolanda Lebisi Cousins, I know Ashley Cleveland as well. And really I've been transformed rather, because I have become more than just an attorney, more than just a realtor. I have been transformed personally as well. And I think that is in our DNA, in the way that we deal and engage with clients. We love to have a personal touch. We love to go above and beyond, and we love to make sure that yes, we're there as attorney realtors, but also from a professional space and a personal space, however we can help our clients, we take that step.
I feel very free, very liberated. Freedom is one of those things that you don't really know what it is until you have it, until you experience it. And I think living and being raised in America, the land of the free, that is the slogan that we learned and pledged allegiance to. And I don't know about you, but after a while, I didn't feel free. The bills every month never made me feel free. I knew no matter what, I had to go back and pay these bills. There was no freedom in that, being able to do whatever you want to do. That's how I define freedom. And that's what I've achieved here, living on the continent. I get to do what I want when I want. Now, it doesn't mean it's easy, and it doesn't mean that I always have that, but I know that I can work really hard and have those fruits harvested over time. And so the way that I work as an entrepreneur, I am somebody who can sprint really hard for a month or two, and then I get to take off a month or two. So that type of freedom is absolutely something that I've achieved here on the continent. And financially, it's been freeing to be able to do that and live in a way that I feel is very luxurious and very accommodating to my family structure, my values, and the type of life that I want to live. I want to live a life that I don't have to vacation from, and where I can do the things that bring me joy with the people that I love as often as I want to. And I get to do that here. Honestly, most of my community that I built in South Africa has been through online relationships. Like, it's been through me sharing my experience on social media, and it's been through me connecting with the diaspora locally. So it's been like a mixed bag of both. But I'll say that my willingness to step outside of my comfort zone and share my experience of being in Africa, in several countries, and moving around the continent, traveling around the continent, and exposing some of my ignorance and exposing some of my challenges, invited in people that were really inspired and could relate to my experience of living in high performing cities and doing very high functional roles in corporate America. And the curiosity of like, why is she interested in leaving that behind to move to this country or that country in Africa? So most of my community that I've built here has been through me stepping outside of my comfort zone, not only to move to this continent, but to share my story online authentically. And I show up that way. I show up authentically in new relationships, and that is what has fortified the relationships that I currently have and am fostering here in South Africa. I feel amazingly welcomed by everyone that I come in contact with. South Africans are extremely friendly, kind people, and that's all that I've experienced. I have not experienced anything other than warm welcome. I'm sometimes challenged for my position and what I believe or what I may speak on, but I often find that accountability and conflict in relationships is a beautiful way to deepen the relationship. And it's something that South Africans are not afraid to do. So it's been a beautiful experience where I've learned so much and have been able to build a really strong community of people. And one of the things that will allow you to be the most successful is community. So without community, you will not be successful anywhere, but especially when migrating and relocating yourself abroad to any country, especially on the continent, because Africans are all about relationships. They want to know who you are, what you stand for, and what you value before even building a relationship with you, building a friendship. And so even with my co-founder for Skyline Attorney Realtors, her and I, we met online. We met through social media. We connected and worked together, kind of small here and there. But it was really when we connected on our values and understood what was important to each other and family and our relationship with our creator and how we treat other people and how we value our life so that we're living choice-based lives. Those shared values is how we connected in business, right? And how the trust was built for us to actually go the next level to do business and to do something with a big vision that has never been done. It's really important to tap into like minds and then to maintain that relationship and to continue to foster it as it grows, as it stretches, as it is challenged, as it's disrupted, as all good relationships experience. There is no good relationship that exists that hasn't had conflict and hasn't had challenges. And the way that we've been able to move through different seasons in our own lives and still build something powerful has been a beautiful, beautiful journey. But it's based on the relationship that we built first that has really allowed us to go into this new relationship of doing business. Before I moved to the continent of Africa, before I moved to South Africa, I was living in Tanzania, and I was on a sabbatical in Tanzania for about 2 years. For people that don't know what a sabbatical is, it's basically a break from work. I started working at a very young age, interning and working for record labels and music radio stations. At the age of 14, I started working. So at the age of 35, I decided I want to take a sabbatical and not work for a year, which turned into 2 years. And so before that, I was working in a tech startup founded by some unicorn founders that had another tech startup that had reached $1 billion valuation. And at that tech startup, I was making, with like bonus, about $150K. I also had a company that I had invested in, which is a media brand that through partnerships and sales strategy that I was doing with that business, about another $30,000 to $60,000 per year, depending on how much I was in that part of the business. Before that, I was always in the, the low 100K space, working in economic development for the city of Atlanta, where I helped companies basically come to the city of Atlanta to invest and build companies like Amazon and Google and Facebook, Twitter. That was a department that I worked in the Chamber of Commerce. And then prior to that, brand marketing background, where I never really made a lot of money, but I had a great lifestyle because those expense accounts were very nice. When I was living in Tanzania, I was making no money. My first year in business, I made $6,000, but I don't know how I was able to pay my bills, but I did. And I felt so wealthy, spiritually wealthy, emotionally wealthy, full, satisfied, worthy, abundant, at peace, joyful, calm, safe, secure. Those things, all of those emotions make me feel a lot more wealthy than even when I was making my high 6-figure income and living in my, Brookhaven townhome, driving my Tesla, that there was still an emptiness. There was still a desire, something that was missing. And those were all my choices. Like, I made those choices. I had to identify and live in alignment with the values that I truly, truly valued, right? I get to spend time with my children because I value family, I am now spending 40 hours, more than that, 80 hours a week with my family versus 10 hours a week with my family now because I value family. I am now eating fruits and vegetables that are healthy because I value health. These type of choices to live in alignment with the things you value, it's reflected in my bank account and on my calendar. So I get to do the things that I value, which is a wealth that is priceless. Do I feel like I'm a different person since moving to South Africa? Absolutely. Not just South Africa, but also Tanzania, just Africa, the continent of Africa, in so many ways, physically, spiritually, emotionally. I am a completely different person, and I'd say for the better. Even physically, I never wore my hair naturally curly in the US. I don't remember the last time I did. I think I have a photo maybe in my 20s, which is essentially 20 years ago, or maybe before then when I was a kid. But my natural curls, not something that I'd ever really done in the US. And that's just the physical appearance. When I look back at photos of myself, I was smiling, but there was a sadness in my face. There was a lack of joy, a lack of peace. And you just don't know what that looks like until you experience it on this side of life. Emotionally, I am a lot more compassionate, empathetic, understanding. I now seek understanding versus being understood. There's so much to learn and unlearn in this journey. So going from being a know-it-all to really sitting and having confidence in my not knowing, but also my knowing is dope. I am so much more spiritually connected than I was living in the US, which is a very spiritless place, in my opinion. There's constant conflict and division and confusion that fuels the system that is America. And while, yeah, it's a great place to make money, spiritually, it's a place that is challenging to thrive in. It's a place of survival. And I am now thriving personally, spiritually, and mentally. There have been some challenges in a way that has forced me to grow, forced me to stretch beyond my comfort zone. And while I was always a pretty moderate risk taker, I think I've just learned to embrace risk and the unknown with a level of certainty that I didn't have. And that has come from the personal development that has been required for me in this season, not just because of the continent, but being in cultures and environments that challenge you to think beyond what you thought you knew or understand, and to question everything that you thought you once believed, requires a level of self-awareness that I just didn't have 5 years ago. So I am a completely different person than I was when I was living in the United States almost 5 years ago. It's very freeing. It's very liberating. I feel such a greater sense of safety and security here in South Africa with my children, being able to be and not minimize themselves. They are able to play outside. They are able to play in spaces and just be children. They're valued. My youngest daughter loves to sing and dance, and she will sing and dance everywhere, even on a plane where people are quiet, but people don't get upset. They allow her to be a child. I've been in meetings with ministers and had my daughter with me, and she was playing and singing, and they encouraged her joy. They encouraged her child expressions. And that's just not something that I was familiar with in the US. Children are seen more as a nuisance in America, more of people that need to be seen, not heard. And being able to create a safe emotional and physical space for them is something that I never felt like, I'm not saying never felt like I was able to do. It just wasn't a thing in the US. My youngest daughter has never participated in an active shooter drill. She doesn't have to worry about being in spaces and someone opening fire on a group of people just because they've had an emotional or mental breakdown. Raising children in South Africa is something where they get to see the juxtaposition of being in a Western space with Western amenities while also hearing and being in South African culture, a country so rich in its culture where people still are connected to their land, their spirituality, their language, their cultural practices. They get to see and experience both, while also growing and building empathy and compassion and just an intellectual awareness and agency that most children in America will never experience. Looking ahead, where do I see myself and my daughters in the next 5 years? So let's start with my oldest. Wow, she's 14, so she'll be 19. Oh my goodness. She will be 19